Hi everybody, it's Janet at Fruit of the Vine Art Studio. Thank you for joining me here, celebrating our second year at Fruit of the Vine Art Studio. I am so excited to have you with me tonight. I really appreciate you allowing me to postpone from last night. There was just a little bit of an issue, and here we are tonight, though, and we are live and doing this. So if you showed up last night and didn't happen to see it, I do hope that you do return to the page and that you do take the time out to watch this video. I'll leave it up here. You'll be able to watch it just as long as you like, and the template, as always, is free. All you have to do is send an email to fotvart@gmail.com. Fruit of the Vine Art, fotvart@gmail.com. That's all you got to do, and I will send you the template, and you can watch this at any time and paint at your leisure. There we go. I've got it pulled up on the computer now. That way I can see your comments when you pop on. Really appreciate it if you'd say hi, tell me where you're watching from. Anyway, I do hope that you did take the time to request the template. You printed it out, looks very much like that, and you wonder now how exactly what am I supposed to do with this? It's a piece of paper. Well, you turn it over and you take a graphite pencil, or you can always use a piece of carbon paper too. But you take a graphite pencil and you mark all over the back of it. Sit this right on top of your canvas. Take a pen, draw over top of it, and when you lift it up, all the lines will be there transferred onto your canvas. So that makes it a very simple, very easy way. And then I just take a paint marker and just trace over the pencil marks. So that way it's a little bit easier for me and for you to see through as we're painting, because as the paint goes on, it gets a little bit dark, and sometimes it's hard to see what's on there if you just leave it in pencil. And especially when we're trying to convey it across the internet here through a video. So it's a little bit different that way too. Hey, Steve, thank you for commenting for me. I appreciate that. Let me get this out of the way there. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn this around, and a couple of things I did want to mention is I will be using mostly primary colors. I'm going to be using yellow, red, and blue primary colors. I'll be using some white, and then I will be using burnt umber. So that's one of the only different kind of colors that you're going to need. It's a very dark kind of brown burnt umber is what I'm going to use. I'll also be using a flat brush and a round brush, which is my typical work. One flat brush, just a small little flat brush, and one round brush. And I may employ, well, I also have a chip brush here if it comes down to, I may use the chip brush. I may use a chip brush in different ways here, or I may end up using a palette knife. I haven't really decided yet. As you guys know, this is really, for me, this is as much an experiment as it is anything. I haven't painted this schoolhouse. I like this schoolhouse. I drive by it often. I've taken numerous photographs of it. And I kind of like to just do little challenges where it's along the line of, let's see if we can recreate it. Now, I'm not talking about making it look just like it. I'm not making it look like fine art. We're just having fun recreating this particular schoolhouse. Now, I've got my paper, my printed out reference photo right here so that I know what I'm trying to achieve. You should always have something printed out to keep nearby so that you can look at that and kind of compare where you're at. Now, like I said, we're not going to make it look just like it. It may look quite a bit different than this, but this is the theme that we're going for right here tonight. Okay, I've got my palette here. Let me just sit this over there. I'm going to put my reference photo over here to the side of me here. And I've got this turned upside down so it's facing in your direction. I'm going to tilt you down just a little bit and zoom you in just a little bit, because I don't think you need to see all this extra stuff in the computer. That's not helpful in any way. So let's just tilt you down some. Zoom you in, not too much though. Straighten up. Talking to my light here. There we go. That looks pretty good right there. And what is casting the shadow? No. These right here. Yeah. It's coming from this other light over there. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to get out a little bit. Now we've got some greens we can get out too. If you don't want to try mixing up a bunch of different greens, you can always get a couple of different greens. We'll be using dark green and light green. I'm going to get some yellow. Some blue. Just primary blue. Primary yellow. Ooh. That completely jumped out of there on me. So, I'm not going to waste that. Scrape it off of my hand right here onto that palette. Grab me this little... Start off. I'm already decorated. That's the way it goes sometimes, though. Got to be careful. It'll come jumping out of there at you. Let me get in that paper towel over here. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's see. We need some red. I'm not trusting that to come out of there either. I got a feeling that's going to come flying out in a big glob. So let's see if I can open it. And just get out some of this red. That'll be plenty enough. There we go. And a little bit of white. I'm just shaking up paint. Now, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here with me through this 2-year adventure. I have really been enjoying myself here doing this. I hope that you have been enjoying the things that I've presented to you here and creating with me. I have a lot of fun doing this. I do hope that you do too. I'd love to hear from you. I got paint on the floor, so now I'm wiping that up. It's everywhere on that blue bottle. Shot out of it. Okay. I'm still wiping it up. Needed to have my little... Here they are. I was going to say, where's my handy wipes? That'll get that off of my floor, because that's part of my wood floor. So if you wipe it up right away while it's still wet, there's no issue whatsoever with getting it up. There we go. And there we go. I'm just going to put this here to the side because obviously I am going to be using quite a few paper towels, I would think. I don't know. This seems like this is going to be a little bit messy for me here. Let's see. I'm trying to see what is creating that. Is that this? No, it isn't. I'm not sure what's creating the shadows. So, going to quit worrying about what's creating the shadows and let's get on with painting because I think that's a little more important at this point. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to work on the door portion of it. Now in the picture we can see that the door is a gray tinted door. It's been white at one point, but right now it's a gray tinted door. So to get that, I'm actually going to use this burnt umber and white. And I want it to be quite a bit of the white. There we go. That's getting about right there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here at the top of it with this color. And I'm going to bring it down on the door here. About like this. And we're going to take this same color and I'm going to roll my brush. Let me get a smaller brush for this. Let me get my little flat brush. I'm going to take my little flat brush and I'm going to put this same color right on the inside of this window frame. On both sides. And I'm going to work it in right in here, in this circle. Add a little more white to it. We're going to bring it right along through here. Do this part of the roof awning with it. Right over here. This right here is also that color. None of it's actually a true white. It's all a weathered, beaten look at this point. This is old Schoolhouse has sat here so long now that it's just all weather beaten. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit more of the brown and bring that into the brush. I'm going to stick this other brush in the water. I'm going to get a touch of blue. Just a touch of the blue on my brush. And I'm going to mix that in here with this brown. Get a little bit more of the brown. Here, I'm going to set it down right here so you see it. So I've got this oddly gray looking color. Okay. And I'm going to take that and I'm just going to take it like right here. Wait a minute. Work some of the paint off. I'm just going to take it and kind of drag it on this door frame. Bringing it down on the bottom, and towards the bottom we're going to make it even darker. Turn your brush over. Get a little more of that color, work it from the bottom. Get it off of your brush. Come back and take it and drag it up. Bringing this darker color up the sides of the door frame here. Drag it across this area right here in the door, where the cross is, where it's that cross-shaped door. A little more at the bottom. Just want it a little darker down here. Same within these two areas right in here. We want this to be a little darker. Just slightly recessed looking. And get a little bit more. Oop, that's a little too much. Put that back in there. Now you can see how the door is starting to build. Then we're going to do the same thing up here at the top of the door. In this area right here. Darken this up a little bit right in here. Where those little T shapes are drawn. Get you a little bit of that color. And just sort of very lightly just drag it in a couple of spots here on the door. You're just getting a little indication of the wood back in here. Okay, and then we need to darken this up right back here a little bit. Behind the star. So that the shape in the door shows up. Just like that. I'm going to get me a little drink of water here. Drink of grape juice. And yes, it is grape juice. Might question that, huh? But yes, it is grape juice. Okay, I'm going to get just a little bit more of the lighter color now. And mix it in with this darker one here. Just sort of mixing in between the two. Getting me a slightly lighter color gray. And I'm just going to bring that along the edge here. And right along the top. And I'm going to work that around the windows here also, as we can see the windows here. We're going to darken that up and put some of a much darker color in that spot right in there. Just give us a moment here. We'll get going with that. I'm just getting us started. Just getting us started here. You want to put this up along the edge. Underneath the window. Across the bottom down here. I also want you to take this slightly darker color here, and we're just going to make some lines using this grayish color right in this steeple area, going across right here. See how I did that right there? Just drew some little lines. See how the door is looking now? And the windows. Okay. We're going to take this and we're going to kind of darken this up a little at the top right here. Right along the inside edges. Drag this across here and here. Going to bring it underneath here. Drag it down a little bit right in this area. Get it some natural shading. Just a little bit in that area there. just go across right there. Okay. Now we're going to take this and we're just going to bring this about midway in between. I got a little much on this side, didn't I? That's okay. We'll take our baby wipe. And if you get them while they're wet, you can usually get most of it off. Go back and get me a little bit of that lighter color here. Move it back in right there. Okay, now we're going back to this mid-dark color that we were working with. And as I was doing, we're making like a natural shading right here. On the roof angle, right there. And then this is a little bit darker right here in the middle and right there on this edge where the roof meets. And we're going to put an angle right here doing the exact same thing. Let me get a little more of that color. And this color was actually, it's the burnt umber mixed with a little bit of blue and a little bit of white. Okay, and then we're going to darken this in just a little bit here, going down in this angle. And there's another, just put a little bit right in there. Now, like I said, we're not going to make it look exactly like it. We're just making a representation of it. So you're going to put just a little bit of shading in here. We're going to go over this with a little more white, but I wanted to get a little bit of a darkened area in there also. Go over that whole circle area. Okay. I'm going to take this darker color that we've created here with this touch of blue and brown. And we're just going to fill in the window. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go. I'll round that a little bit better right there. And then I'm going to get just a slightest touch of the red and mix in that color. And I'm going to put that right in here. Oddly purplish shade, but that's going right in there. Add a little more brown to it. just kind of outline it a little with this darker brown, burnt umber. Just kind of working that on there. And this is sort of that purplish. It's actually a rusty red is what it is at the top of the door. Just a little bit of the rusty color needs to go on both of these sides of the windows. And a little around the top. Just a little bit around the top. Right around in there. Something along that line, yeah. Somewhere along that line. This just looks a little dark to me, so I'm going to take a little bit of white and just work it down a little bit from the top of the door just give the door a little bit more light to it. Okay, that looks pretty good for that. We're going to also go around the windows again, and we got to put our lines in the middle of the windows now. So we're going back to the lighter color, adding a little more white to it. I'm using this right here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a line that goes up right here. And one right here. I'm going across there, going across there, going across there, and just slightly across at the top. I'm going to do the same thing on this window over here. Just going to draw a line, and get a little more of that color. Got a little fan blowing next to me here, and it seems to be drying my paints up awfully quickly. You got to be careful of that. But it's getting to be that time of year when it's going to be warm, and oh yeah, your paints are going to dry quick. Okay. About right there above the top of the door. My door's awfully dark looking, I know. We're going to use that darker brown color. Actually, we could make this red, white, and blue if we want to for, actually it is a red, white, and blue. It's hard to see it on there. So we could take the white and just sort of do our little star up a little bit here. Just so that it shows up a little bit better, and then we'll add the other colors to it. Let me see here. We need to add our doorknob too, don't we? We need just a little touch of the brown. Put that right in here. On our door. Need a little more touch of the brown. Put it right along here. Along the side of this door. Down the bottom of this window. Right along like that. A little darker. And keep mucking with it and making a mess. Next thing you know, it won't show up at all, huh? Don't want that to happen. It's got a little bit of more of a white shade in the top of the door. Right in here. Put a little more of the white right in here. There we go. Just getting it to show up a little bit better there. I know, I keep going back and messing more and more with it, but that's fine. I'm going to stop with that right now. We're going to leave it where it is. We're going to put a little more white in this area right in here. This middle area is going to be a darker color, so we're going to fill that in with the dark. So just go to your burnt umber. Fill that area in. Just like that. I'm just wiping the paint off of my brush there. I'm looking at it. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of red and yellow and brown mixed together. We're going to get some brown. And get some red. Get us some yellow. I want a dark orange color here. Let's see, I need a little more yellow. white. Yellow. I'm trying to get it. Here we go. This is getting better now. A darker looking orange color here. That can work. Okay. I'm going to use this darker orange color here, and we're just going to start painting the school this color. And we're going to get a little darker too. This is just our start here. Just going to fill this all in with this color right here. Get a little more. It has been a fascinating 2 years. I'm telling you guys, I've got so many different projects here now, and I've had so many wonderful parties with friends and new friends that I've made doing this, and visiting people's homes and going to work and all kinds of wild stuff. It's just been one heck of a ride so far, and I am so, so grateful and so thankful for this opportunity and for you to join me. And I mean, I'm just, you know, as thrilled as I can be to get to do this at all. I love doing this kind of stuff. And I'm just, yakety yakking and rubbing away, huh? Let me get that right there off the edge a little bit. I'm not going to be too worried about this. Just trying to get it all kind of going in the same direction here. Of course, now for those, they kind of go around like that. Get a little more of this color. Just going to fill in this whole area with this. Bring that little peak right up there. What is that? A little hard spot on the canvas. Just crush it off with my fingernail. Just crunch that right off of there. A little rough on my canvas. That's okay. Sometimes the canvases aren't perfectly smooth. That's perfectly fine too. Now this right here, going around the outside of this, is also this brick. So we want to bring this around right here. This outer edge. Now, this is all in the sun, in the shade. In the shade. That's why we don't really have anything that's really what would be white or considered white. Everything going on here is in the shade. The sun is setting. Well, actually, the sun's going to be off going down this way. So there's going to be some light in the trees, but not really in the front of the building. At least not in the picture. There's not light in the front of the building. The front of the building is rather dark. Spread this right here. Don't want to have it too thick in spots, but it's not going to matter because this is all going to have little brick added to it anyway. Let's just bring this right up here. Right back down. Okay, there we go. That's better. Get that little thing off of there. Sometimes there's little clumps in your paint and all that there good stuff too. Okay, let's bring this right down under here. Goes right in between the window and the door. Right around the top of the door frame here. Get a little bit more. Pushing the extra paint off from there. That's a pretty good base color for this little schoolhouse here. Darken it up in a couple of spots. Okay, so now with this color that we've got here, we're going to add, let me get that right there. Yeah, what are you doing? Making a mess. We're going to add a little bit more of this brown to it. Just a little bit. Darken it up some. And then we're going to just put some darker areas on the building. Just for some variations in the coloring of your brick. Putting a few little streaks of a darker color. It's not much darker, but it's a little bit darker. There we go. Just got a little drop of it on there, but that's okay. It didn't hurt it. Get the darker and bring it all around the edge of the top here. Because this is going to be darker along the top. And I'm sort of like dragging almost like a dry brush effect on here with whatever little paint is still left in my brush. I'm just trying to drag little darker areas into it. See how it's kind of giving it, not really a brick effect, but it's giving it that darkened, weathered areas for different brick areas to be, I guess is how I want to put that. It's just a thing for different darker areas to be. We're going to get a little bit darker. Get some of the darker part and put it right along the top part of this circle. We're going to get some of this darker and we're going to put it right next to, actually you can just get you some of the brown, I think. Let me try that, a little of the burnt umber. Just making like little L's up. For me, I'm upside down, so as you can see, I'm making little L's with this. For you, they'd be almost like a little V shape, I guess, a little kind of cockeyed V shape. Okay, and that's just creating some shadows in here. And then we've got this is darker right along down through here. So just using your burnt umber, just darken this line right down through here. Just make that dark right there. And we'll do the same thing right over here on this side. Ooh, that got a little heady right there, but that's okay. Luckily for this side is the side that's got all those vines growing all over it. So that doesn't hurt that any. Okay. I'm just looking here. We've got some dark that goes across the top of here. I'm going to wipe that off. Get some of that orangish color again. Blend that in with it. Giving us a little bit of darkness so that when we add the white lines to the brick, it'll show better. Well, not white lines, but the off-colored lines, so to speak. Yeah. Okay, gonna do the same thing right here. Just get some of that brown. Not too much, kind of wipe it off. And drag that around this top area. There, right there, and then go back and get in some of that orange again and just drag it around inside of it. Darkening that up a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Get some of that dark brown. Drag it around the top of it, over here to the side. Go back and get some of that orange. And just blend it in there. Okay. Make this a little darker in the middle. See how it's starting to take some shape to it? I'm liking how that's looking. It may not look exactly like the schoolhouse. No, we're not making an exact replica, but you know what? It's looking pretty cool. Let's put a little bit darker. And just a couple of spots. Right across the edges. Just lightly as a feather sweeping over the top of that. Darken that up just a wee bit. And then I got to add more white to it because it really is a white color. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to leave that be. I am going to leave that be. It goes all the way across it. That's just a slightly darker color. There we go. Leave it alone. Up and over, across the top of that, and then I'm going to leave that be, just to make that stand out just slightly there. Now we need a little bit of green, so we're going to get a little bit of blue, and a little bit of yellow, and we're going to mix them together here. Create us a green. I need this green to be a little darker. So I'm adding more blue. When you need a darker green, you're going to add more blue to it. Okay, it's a bluish green. I'm going to paint this little steeple at the top. The little cap on the roof. This green color. Add a little more blue. It's just one corner of it. Make it a little darker, deeper green. Add a touch of brown to it. Shade this in up here. the bottom part. Got a line that goes right here. Darken that up just a little. And then there we got the line going across. A little bit of shading up in there, just a wee bit. Okay. There now. That was just adding a little bit of the dark green around those edges there. And at the top. See how that turned out? We're going to take this same green here and we're going to go down the top of the roof. Right along the top of the roof here with this color. I'm going to get just a drop of water on that to thin it down just a smidgen. Bring it across this side over here. Okay. Need to be a little bit thicker in here. Now we've got our pretty green roof right on the top of it there. There's a little bit of this darker color that's going to be right back in here. And in here. And then we're going to take just a little bit of brown and blend right in with this. Get a little more of that brown. Okay. I'm looking to see what should we do next? What should we do next? Maybe some of these I'm trying to decide here. I was going to say you could actually do, let's get a little bit of white. A little bit of brown. Using your palette knife, making some very fine lines. A little bit of brown mixed with white. And just some of the places where you think the brick needs to show. Doesn't have to be everywhere, just in a few spots. Just making a few little white lines. That one kind of took on a little life of his own, but that's okay because that'll have some little bushes in front of it anyway. Oops, same with that. Okay. I'm just going to scoop that up. Maybe. I think that's a piece of paper plate. Okay. Not going to worry about that either, because there are spots that are going to have just a little bit. Here, let me get this to where I can get the paint on it. Here we go. Just making a few little lines going across in different places. I'm going to turn this back towards me. And then I'm going to take the tip of my palette knife and I'm just going to make a couple of little lines. That might actually be easier to do. This brush right here. Just gonna take it. And I'm just making some lines going down in between. And all I'm really doing, guys, is just making the indication of some bricks. Bring this on over here. We don't need to make every single brick that's on here. If we just give the indication of a few of the bricks in different places, then that's really all we're going to need to do. Now, you do want them to kind of be a uniform, you know, about the same distance apart. And remember how bricks are staggered. Few bricks here, few bricks here, few bricks there. That's all we need to do. We don't need to make every single brick in the building. We're just putting a few bricks here, a few bricks there. And when you're making your bricks, just draw the line. Try to make them about the same width apart. Next line down, stagger it in between each one of the bricks above it. Let's put a couple right in here. Just a few places. Sides of the door. A little bit around the windows, under the windows. Now we are going to do the little brick design that's inside around the top of the windows and the door and around the circle. So for that, you're going to use your little thin brush. You're going to thin down your paints. Get a little bit of water and mix in it, just a little bit. Get it thinned down to where you can draw with it real easy. And we're going to just put a line right in between the structure that we have there. It goes right in the middle of it. You're going to do that around the door and the other window. See what I'm talking about? This line right here. In the middle of that structure above the window. You're going to put a line in the middle of each one of them. Same thing on this one right here. And then we're going to put one right around the outer rim here. Get it here. Don't want too much paint on there. And in this little area in the window, you're going to just draw a couple of curved lines. See how I drew those little curved lines in the window and around that circle? And we're just going to take our brush and pull from the inside towards the outside of the circle. All the way around this circle, you're just making little like sunshine rays coming out of the middle of it. Past that little circle that you drew. Bring it on out. And then we're going to make another circle around the outside. Doesn't look exactly like bricks. No, it sure doesn't. Put just the littlest bit of this orange right in there and blend that a little better. There we go. Go back to that light color again, that lightish color that we're using on our bricks. And we're going to do basically the same thing here. We're just going to make the line go halfway up. And then stagger it here on the other side of it. The bricks are going this way. Every other one in between it. And then we're going to drag the white right around the outside of this. Just want to get it on the inside of it too. See how that one looks now? We're going to do the same thing above the door in the other window. Okay, so starting with the inside one, just out, leaving about the same amount of space in between each line. And then the line on the outside is in between each one of those lines. Make a line on the inside edge of it. And the outside. Okay, and again here. Put your edging around the inside of it and the outside. See how that looks now? Okay, I think we've probably worked pretty much on our little structure there. You could add a little bit of darkness in different little areas and different spots, or just clean up a little bit of orange that you see that might be in little spots that you don't like. It worked a little dark right in here underneath this, because that whole side's kind of dark there, as is this. There we go. Turn it back your way for you. Now we're going to use just the littlest bit of blue mixed with this color that we've already got there. And we're going to work on our star. This portion right here. blue. And this one right here. Is also blue. Actually, you can make these any way you want them to look. You can make this white here, and then the next one red, and then another blue. However you want to do this. It's your country star. This one's going to be blue here. And then they're red and white. Each one is red and the next one's white. And then the next one's red and the next one's white. So this one's going to be red. That would be white. This would be red. That would be white. This would be red. That would be white. And that would be red. So now we've got a pretty little red, white, and blue decoration on our door. We need it to be just a little bit darker, so we're going to touch into the brown and touch into the blue and make just a little bit darker looking blue color and just accentuate this portion of it. To give it kind of a little shadow on that blue. Rinse this off. Don't go into no straight white. Go into some of that lighter brownish color white. The white with a little bit of brown mixed in it. And you're just going to kind of put it in these little areas here just to lighten this up a little bit and define the star just a little bit more. And then maybe I put some little dots on my red, white, and blue star to make it look like it's got stars on it. So that's how I'm going to leave that now. This is going to stay looking just like this. I'm not going to mess any more with this portion of it. We're going to start working on the greenery in the background here. So we need to do this in a gray color down here. So I'm going back to my brown brush and getting this grayish, brownish color that we've worked with here. And get me a little more of this brown. Drop of this blue. A little bit of this white. More of this brown. Build me back that gray color. Just going to take this, get some of that off because that's quite a bit of paint. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to work it into these bricks down here. here. And then now this also has this dark gray color here. Going across this sidewalk. Down through here, going across this part of the sidewalk. Is that this? Yeah. Right through here under the door. Okay. Now we're going to darken that up a little bit. Add a little more brown to this. We're going to put that right in here. Right in here. Making just little dividers among the rock down here. Do the same thing over here. Get me some of that darker color. Work it along this edge of the step. Mix some of it in there. Now this is awfully dark back in an area over in here. So we can just put some of this right back over here while we're working on this, because this is going to be a dark shaded area. Same with over on the other side. There's going to be a really dark shaded area right over in here. So we'll just go ahead and use this darkened color right in this area. And we've got quite a bit of a darkened area going along right here. And over this way. And just kind of darken that up on the side there. I'm just lightly pulling that darker color over the top of it. Okay, see how that's looking now? Alright, now we need to mix this up some greens, because we're going to need some green to start now. So we're going to need a darker green, so get us some of this blue, some of this yellow, bit of brown mixed in it. Get me a darker looking green. And we're just going to take this darker looking green now, and I'm going to use my chip brush because, hey, I got one here. And we're just going to work it into some of this area back in here. It's not going to look exactly like that picture, but that's okay. Get a little bit more of it over here. Get some of the darker green up in here. I'm just taking that brush and just dabbing it around with that green on it, that darker green. Get a little bit of that, and I'm going to bring it down along the front here in the grass. We've got lighter green in the middle area here, so we're going to also work some of the darker green over here. Get a little more yellow mixed in here. We've got the ray of sun shooting across the grass in this area. And the grass just kind of grows here. The little trail is really kind of gone at this point. That used to lead you up to the little schoolhouse. That's basically no longer there. Add a little bit of your lighter green down in this area too. Push it on up, right onto the painting, right onto the school. Don't worry about it. Get it over in this area. Get just a smidgen of water here. Lighter green over in here. I'm just working it up to the edge of it with the green. We will make these a little more defining in just a moment. For now, we're just getting a green tint in here. And I'm going to have to get a little more yellow out. Got plenty of blue, I just need some more yellow. Okay, now we do have a little bit of green, a little bit of blue sky up here in this area too. So we do want to add a little bit of that in before we just completely make everything green all over the place. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of the blue and some of the white. And mix me up a very pretty blue sky color here. Work our sky in, letting the colors kind of blend themselves as we go along here. Don't worry about that. Work it in around your green. Of course, you're going to give it a little more consideration when you get here around this area. I just kind of scrub it onto the edge of it. And I'm going to get a little brush to fill this in. Working it in. Trying to get it around the edges of my canvas. Not too far down though, because you don't want it to be all blue sky down in there now, do you? Get some more of that whiter color. Put it in. Okay. Get my little brush here. And get me some of this. And we're just going to work it right up to the rooftop. Turn this just a little bit. Here. Got a little boogie on it right there. I just, oh, there we go, got it off. Got to be careful of them things. You might think you're getting everything and all of a sudden there's one looped up on everything. Okay. Just got a little more to get on here. There we go. And you still see the green roof, which is the idea there. Too carried away. All right. That's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. We just got to add some more greenery to it now that we've got that blue sky in there. So let me go back to my little chip brush, rinse that blue out of it. That sky blue. Don't got to do too much with it though, because we're going to make more green. So get us a little more of the dark blue and a little more of the yellow, and mix us up some more green over here. Let's get that out. Don't need that thing hanging in it. Okay. Just add some little different spots. This is that lighter looking color, so we can add some more of that down in here. It's got a little blue mixing in it though, doesn't it? Don't want to get that too much, get more yellow. There we go. Just kind of slapping it on and just letting it go however it decides. And you see it's kind of making its own trees. Not really having to do a whole lot to make the tree. The tree makes itself, so to speak. I just use this brush, tapping around the outside of it. And go across the bottom. Darken that up in that corner. Okay. Little flat brush right here. Go into some of that brown. I'm just going to add my couple of indications of tree limb here and a tree limb there. Going in different directions. Little bits and pieces coming off. See a few more up at the top. Just little spots here and there. Just different little trees coming up out here. Same thing over here. Come right up like out of this darkened area. We're going to have a couple of trees. Just some fine lines, indications of where that limb's going to be. A few more up here at the top. Get it too dark. Now we've got the trees coming up on that side over there. Need to add a little bit of yellow to the tips of them. I'm going to use this one. Come here. I'm going through a lot of yellow. More than I had expected, honestly. But that's okay, because I like that, though. That helps you learn what it is that you're doing here. Okay, we've just got some little bits of yellow in the trees. We're along the top area here. Same with over in here, little bits of yellow in the top of the trees. A couple of spots down in here, there's going to be a couple of little yellows. Let's get some of this yellow over in here. Okay, now what we have left to do is we have all these little vines that are growing all over down at the bottom and around little bushes and stuff like that. So we know right here there's a little bush. So we can create our little bush using this little chip brush. And this color green here. Now I need to get a little darker over in here. Get a little bit bluer. Add in a little shading in this. Darkened area right in here. Okay, and then we've got little streaky things that are like coming up from the bottom. Let's get a little bit more of this green. Let me get a drop of water on it. Some of this darker green. And I don't want a lot of paint on my brush, so I'm going to wipe my paint basically off. And I'm pulling it up onto my schoolhouse. Let's get a little bit more. Drag a little bit in right in this area. A little bit of the lighter color over top of the darker one. Just a little bit. Let's see, we've got one. Gonna make it a darker green using that brown. Okay, and so we've got a line that comes up through here. All up and through here. All kinds of vines coming up in here. And then of these vines, let's see. I'm just kind of taking my brush and holding it straight up and down and tilting it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. With a slightly lighter green color. Trying to give it a little bit more of a leafy look to the vines. Not so much of a grassy, because they were kind of taking on a grassy looking demeanor to me, I guess, is what I'm thinking. They didn't really look like vine. There's a little bush growing right up over here. It's got quite a bit of yellow on him. Okay, same with these little guys over here, just some A little bit of leaves to it, a little bit of thickness, I guess. A little branching off of it. Okay, and then get into this yellow. And that's going to be over in here. Where the light is playing in that. On that little bush. A little bit of dappling in through here, I guess. Not too much is necessary. It's got a pretty good look to it, I think. It's got a pretty good feel to it. I like how it's looking. Need to work on this little bush over here just a little bit. He needs a little bit of a lighter green. Just to help him a little bit there. Not too much, though. This area is darkened. Add a little dark underneath him. Okay. I don't know, guys. I think I'm pretty well done with this. Hey, Carol, I just happened to look up. I'm just painting away, not even paying any attention. Hey, I appreciate you being here. You gonna watch the replay? Oh, you went to your granddaughter's dance performance. How sweet. I'm so glad you got the opportunity to get out and do that. Yep, please do. Take the time to watch the replay. If you do the painting, I'd love to see how yours turns out. I'm gonna stop right here. This is the Old Schoolhouse from the Old Schoolhouse Challenge. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I truly appreciate you being here with me tonight. I appreciate you helping me celebrate my 2-year anniversary with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio. Thank you so much. Let me tilt this up just a little bit here. Let me see if I can... Ooh, it zooms you in, doesn't it? There we go. Now I got it zoomed out and I can hold it up and that way you can see it. There now. I think that turned out really lovely. I love it. I'm really happy with that. Thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you being here. Bye, guys.